Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mina. Today we are going to be doing the Summerween Book Tag. If you guys are not familiar with Summerween, Summerween is an annual, I think it's going to be annual from now on, readathon that takes place during the summer where we read a bunch of spooky and creepy thrillers and horrors, which as you guys know is my preferred genre of reading anyway, so it's not too different from my natural, normal reading. However, I did enjoy participating in it last year and I definitely want to do so this year as well. Summerween was created by Gabby from Gabby Reads and Olivia from Olivia Reads a Latte. This year, I believe it's going to be taking place the first full week of July. So it's a little bit earlier than it was last year. Let me just check my calendar to make sure. So I think we start, she said from a Friday to a Friday. So I think it's like July 2nd to the 9th. I believe those are the dates, but definitely check out Gabby and Olivia's channels to check for all of the details and information about that readathon. There are also 5 different prompts or challenges that you can fulfill throughout the readathon if you want some extra spooky activities to keep you busy. And it also coincides with the readathon that I'm co-hosting, which is Camp Spooky. So I'm kind of like killing 2 birds with 1 stone here because I will definitely still be reading for Camp Spooky, and I'm also going to spend that week during Summerween vlogging and reading books that fit both Camp Spooky and Summerween. So that being said, there is a tag going around that works with Summerween, and it's basically a bunch of spooky reading questions that people have been answering. I saw a couple of people that I'm subscribed to do this challenge, so I really wanted to participate as well since I will be joining in during Summerween. So let's get started. I will definitely tag the original person who created this challenge in my description, so make sure you check out their channel as well. So there are 13 questions here. I've got my books already pre-picked because I looked at the questions ahead of time, but let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so question 1 is asking, what are some spooky reads that you are most excited about in your TBR list or your pile right now? So the books that I selected for this I don't physically own yet because they are coming out very soon this summer. I'm really excited for my #1 most anticipated read of the year, which is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. That is our Camp Spooky July buddy read pick. So I will be reading it in July, probably a couple days before July because it comes out next Tuesday, which is June 29th. So I'm probably going to want to read it like the day that it comes out. So that's my most anticipated spooky read. I also am really interested in the new Megan Miranda thriller, which is called Such a Quiet Place. I think it also comes out in July. And then The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix comes out in August or end of July, and that is our Camp Spooky August buddy read pick. So those 3 I'm really excited for in the next coming months. Okay, question number 2 is, what is your favorite revenge novel? Which is not something that I typically pick up, but the 2 that came to mind for me were Dexter and Gone Girl. Both of these I have read like years ago, Gone Girl being one of my all-time favorite thrillers, Dexter being one of my favorite TV shows, but I also decided to pick up a couple of the books from the series as well. Both of these books deal with characters who are trying to get revenge on others. In Gone Girl, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I feel like people know the story at this point. It's more of like a domestic situation where a wife is trying to get revenge on her husband. And then in Dexter, we have a man who is sort of like a Robin Hood character who basically kills a bunch of people, but only people who have done things that are wrong or illegal or have committed crimes. So he's only getting revenge on people who have done things that are bad. So both of those are really great for the revenge story plot. Question number 3 is, what is a horror or thriller or crime book that you wish you could experience for the first time? And for this, I had to go with like my all-time favorite book, Annihilation. I have read this book 3 times now. I read it recently this year, I read it last year, and then the first time that I read it back in, I want to say like 2000 and 2018 was the first time that I read this. This is a book that I went in not knowing too much about. It's very, very short, and as you guys know, this is a sci-fi horror novel, and the first time I read this, I don't think I read anything that creeped me out more than this book to the point where I slept with the lights on that night, and it just like has stuck with me since then. And even upon my rereads, it's definitely something that I always enjoy going back to, and something that I find new things upon my reading experience, like every time I reread this novel. So this is something I wish that I could go back and read for the first time over and over again. Question number 4 is sucks to suck. You were just given a handful of your least favorite candy, the one not even your siblings or friends will trade for. What candy is it, and what spooky book did you want to love that disappointed you? So my least favorite candy, I don't really like hard candy. So like dots, I really don't like that. So that would probably be my least favorite candy. I don't like licorice either. Not a huge fan of jelly beans. So those are some of my candies that I don't like. And a book that I wanted to love but that disappointed me would have to be The Haunting of Bryn Wilder. If you watched my most recent vlog where I read another book by this author, I talk about this book a lot in there, but this was just so disappointing for me. I read it for Winterween back in January, and I really, really wanted this to be spooky. I wanted it to give me Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor vibes. It just did not deliver. It felt more emotional, more grief heavy, more drama, romance, rather than like a true horror novel. And there were definitely some like supernatural moments in this book, but they weren't enough to scare me, and it was a disappointment for me. So definitely this one. Also, I would have to say that Dr. Sleep was a very big disappointment to me as well. I absolutely love The Shining, and you guys know that I love Stephen King, but when I read Dr. Sleep years ago, it just did not live up to my expectations. So that's another book that I was slightly disappointed in. Question number 5 says, time to put on your costume. If you could exist in one spooky novel, which one would it be? Who would your best friend be? So this was a really tough one because I think like most people, I love to read horror, but who the hell wants to actually like experience and live through like a horrific situation? So I tried to go with something that was a little bit less scary and something that I can find myself possibly like living through. So I picked You by Carolyn Kepnes because I feel like I would want Joe as a best friend because he's just hilarious. His commentary, his criticism, all of his thoughts are just so funny. I have a blast every time I read one of these novels. So I feel like I would want his character as a best friend. And I also feel like there's nothing like too terrifying going on in here. There's nothing supernatural. The only thing that's like scary is Joe, but if he's my best friend, then he won't kill me, I hope, or he won't trap me in his cage, his box. So I'm gonna go with You. Question number 6, what is your favorite haunted house book and or your favorite haunted house television show? So I'm gonna go with the pick that I've seen everybody go with for television show, and that is The Haunting of Hill House. I just feel like there is something so perfect about that show. The creep factor, the cinematography, the acting, the storylines, the fact that it's more than just a horror show and there's actual real life conflicts happening. It's just such a complex show. Both Bly Manor and Hill House are like my favorite, but I think I like Hill House just a little bit more. So that would definitely be my favorite haunted house TV show. In terms of my favorite haunted house book, I decided to go with Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is one of the best thriller writers that's like prominent today, and I absolutely love every book that I read by his. Home Before Dark had so much like Haunting of Hill House vibes in it, which is why I think I really appreciated it. I loved the dual timeline. I loved the creep factor. I just felt like this was such a good summer read last year and definitely delivered with those haunted house vibes. So Home Before Dark. Question number 7 is the food question. You can only pick one from each. Which would you rather? So A says chocolate or sour candy. I love sour candy. Like, I really, really do like sour candy, but if I had to choose between the two, I think I would choose chocolate because it's more versatile, and like, I would want to have chocolate cake, I would want to have like Hershey's chocolate, I would want to have chocolate ice cream. Like, there's so much you could do with chocolate, and there's not much that you could do with sour candy, so I'm gonna choose chocolate. B is coffee or tea. I do like both, but I definitely drink coffee more than I drink tea. And then C is apple pie or pumpkin pie. I love both of these, but I think I like apple pie a little bit more. I just feel like I like the crust on the apple pie more than the crust on a pumpkin pie. So I think I'm gonna go with apple. Question number 8 is show us your favorite book with a witch or with a woman who gets screwed over by society and the patriarchy. Okay, so I had 2 picks for this, but I guess I did not bring the other book with me. It's still on my shelves, but The Burning Girls by C.J. Tudor definitely has witchy vibes, and it does have a female character in there that was screwed over by the patriarchy, by society. So I would definitely pick that one. It's one of my favorite reads that I read this year. And then my other pick is Carrie by Stephen King, which I guess you could say, and definitely screwed over by the patriarchy. Definitely one of the most interesting female characters in horror, in my opinion. Question number 9, which book on your shelves or audiobook library has the scariest book cover? What did I choose for this? So I don't really have too many books with covers that freak me out. A lot of horror books don't actually have scary covers, or at least the ones that I pick up don't. But one that I've read recently that I think has a creepy cover is Wonderland by Jennifer Hillier. This is more of like a crime suspense thriller with some like horrifying aspects in it. It's about an amusement park where some horrible traumatic things have happened, and now we are following a detective, and she is investigating the murder of a boy who was found at the amusement park before it was opened one morning. So this definitely has a creepy cover with like the porcelain clown face on it. Definitely don't like dolls or puppets or things like that, so that's creepy. I also realized that I have this copy of Stephen King's It, and I think it's kind of creepy. I mean, it's like a clown skull with like creepy red hair, so that could also work as a creepy cover. Question number 10 is, it's Summerween and it's hot outside. What book or books do you recommend that give off summer vibes? Think lakes, cabins, beaches, whatever reminds you of summer. I love this question because, as you guys know, I'm a huge seasonal reader, and if you're following me on Instagram, you know that I absolutely love, and I keep posting about books that are perfect for the summertime. So books about camping, books about lakes, books about the ocean, beaches, getaways, vacations, things like that. I love that stuff. So I have a few that I would definitely recommend. The first one that I wanted to recommend I didn't bring with me, but it is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I actually think all of Riley Sager's books give off kind of like a summerish vibe. Definitely Final Girls and The Last Time I Lied the most. Home Before Dark also takes place during the summer, so I feel like it works for that kind of vibe. So definitely any of Riley Sager's books. Obviously, I have to go with Jaws because this is a classic, and I love this book. I actually prefer this book more than I do the film, which is such a controversial statement, but the book is really good. It has a lot of extra details and backstories that you don't get in the film, and I don't know why I found this one to be more engaging than the film. So definitely Jaws. I also would have to go with my current read, which is Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. I'm actually almost done with this book. I have like 50 pages left of it, so I'm planning on finishing it tonight, but this is just a gory, fun slasher that takes place in the woods in an abandoned campsite, and it's just so good. If you are somebody who loves slashers, if you love Friday the 13th, if you love Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this book is definitely for you. There's a cannibal character in here, so definitely top notch for summer horror. And the last one that I want to go with is The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. This is a book that takes place in dual timelines. In the 80s timeline, it takes place in the summer, so I definitely think it gives off some good summer vibes for that section of the novel. There's a scene at an amusement park in the summer. Kids are hanging out in the woods, riding their bikes, playing with chalk. It definitely has those like It summer vibes, so this and It would definitely work really, really well if you're looking for that kids hanging out during summer horror slash thriller vibes. Question number 11, you and your friends are exploring a well-known haunted house. You get separated and suddenly you hear screams coming from somewhere upstairs. You run into the next room and find 2 of your friends. Which 2 fictional characters are they? Who do you want in this situation with you? Such a tough question because I feel like a lot of characters in thrillers and horror are just plain dumb, and I wouldn't want most of them with me. Definitely like Joe Goldberg and Dexter are like prime characters, but I wanted to choose some characters from different novels that I haven't discussed yet. So I decided that I want Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs. Excellent detective work. She has a gun with her, she's strong. She was strong enough to interview Hannibal Lecter, so definitely her. And then the other character that I want is also a detective. I would want the main character from the Jigsaw Man. I forgot what her name is. Angelica Henley. She also is really good at investigating, also carries a gun. I feel like both of these women would probably protect me and I would survive if I was with them, so definitely these 2. Okay, question number 12, Trick or Treat. Stephen King, H.P. Lovecraft, Mary Shelley, and Shirley Jackson are at your front door. Who do you give the best and biggest candy bar to? I'm gonna have to go with Stephen King. I'm not a huge classic horror reader. I read more contemporary horror, so definitely Stephen King. He's one of my favorite authors of all time. I do love Frankenstein, so it was like a close second with Mary Shelley, but Stephen King, I'm gonna have to go with Stephen King. And then the last question, what is your favorite spooky book to movie adaptation where both of them are good? So I actually have a few that I selected for this because I couldn't just pick one. Gone Girl, phenomenal movie, phenomenal book. I actually watched the film before I read the book, so definitely love both of those. Annihilation. Book is definitely better, but I recently rewatched the film adaptation and I definitely think that they did it justice. It's a really, really strong adaptation. So that one as well. Even the miniseries like that took place in the 90s, love it. So definitely that. Silence of the Lambs, a classic. Also, Psycho is a great one. Great book, great film. I think that the adaptation works really, really well, so I would have to go with mainly a bunch of modern classic horrors. So that is it for the questions. I think it was just 13. Let me double check. Yep, that is it for the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had a lot of fun thinking about my answers to this. If there are any other like horror or thriller book tags that you guys know of, definitely leave them down below because I don't do enough of like sit down and talking videos. I'm doing a lot of vlogs lately, which I do enjoy, but it's nice to switch it up once in a while and kind of just talk about things that you've read in the past. So definitely enjoyed making this. I hope you guys are also joining in on Summerween. I will be vlogging, I will be reading, so let me know down below if you are also planning on joining, and if you are, what are some books that you are interested in reading during that week. I have no idea what my TBR is going to be. I have to like sit down, look at the challenges, and decide what I'm going to read, but stay tuned for that. I might do a Summerween TBR video coming soon, and I will see you guys in my next video. I hope that everybody has a wonderful day today. Bye guys!